All right, we're up. Got some room service. They got the order wrong, but still thankful.
Today we're going to talk about Roth IRAs. I'm in Alabama. So, like I said, today we're going to talk about Roth IRAs, and this video is going to be shot in a lot of places because I'm traveling right now, going back to Dallas from Alabama. But in today's video, we're going to cover exactly what is a Roth IRA, how much can you put into a Roth IRA, and also talk about early withdrawal from a Roth IRA, and a bunch of other factors as well. Okay, I think I need to hit the road.
Look at this view.
Alright, well now that I'm back home, let's go and get started. Hey, I'm Naveed Haque. I'm a technical solution specialist at IBM by day, and at night I enjoy making these YouTube videos, sharing the lessons I've learned in finance, productivity, and other elements of my life, and hopefully in order to help you live a happier and a more fulfilled life. Now, what are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to talk about Roth IRAs. Roth IRA was actually named after Senator William Roth, and I had to Google that. IRA stands for Individual Retirement Account. A common analogy that's given for Roth IRAs is that you can think of it as a house, or in this case, my apartment. My apartment essentially serves as a shell for everything that's in it, whether it be my table, my sofa, my TV, whatever. Now imagine if all those items were essentially your stocks or your bonds, your mutual funds, real estate, gold, and so much more. So essentially your Roth IRA can house all those things, and it could house your money. Show me the money! Now, the maximum amount you can put into your Roth IRA is a finite amount per year. If you go above that, there's penalties that we can talk about later on in this video. So if you're less than 50 years old, the amount you can put in is $6,000. And if you're above 50 years old, the maximum you can put into it is $7,000 per year. Now, this amount increases as inflation increases over time. And what happens if you go over, which what I was referring to earlier, well, you have to pay essentially an excess tax. So you'll have to pay this time around would be about 6%. For each year, the excess amounts remains in the IRA. So it can add up pretty quickly. Now, the tax can't be, however, more than 6% of the combined value of all your IRAs at the end of the tax year. Now you might be wondering, well, do I qualify to have a Roth IRA? Well, if you make between $125,000 to $140,000 while single, you're good. You can definitely make one. And if you make between $196,000 and $206,000 while married, you can also make one. And what happens if you make less? Well, then you can contribute the maximum that you're able to up to the maximum limit. See, the problem really lies is if you make too much money, then you can't really open a Roth IRA. Now, what if you withdraw your cash that you have put in there, or the bonds or whatever? Well, long as it's been more than 5 years from the date of your first contribution, you can take out the money without paying a penalty. So the money you're taking out must have at least aged 5 years. For example, if you had put in, let's say, $10 in 2005, you can take out that $10 in 2010 without a penalty because it's been 5 years. However, if you put in $10 in 2005 and then the years go on, and then in 2007, let's say, you put in another $10, you cannot take out $20 in 2011 because the other $10 hasn't aged completely. So you would have to pay somewhat of a penalty. Now, what if you're married and your spouse isn't working and you are? Well, in that case, you can still open an account, but the IRS will use the working spouse's taxes for limitations and all of that. So that's kind of what happens if your partner is not working. Now that you have a general idea on the rules and what it takes to open a Roth IRA and how much you contribute and how much you can take out and all of that, one thing I want to clarify are just some common mistakes that people have when it comes to Roth IRAs. One being is that not using the Roth IRA and not thinking about doing it. Don't overthink it. It's better to open one if you're eligible and you meet the criteria. And two, just because you can't max out doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it at all. I think a lot of times people get fixated on the maximum amount to optimize their gains, but the reality is, like, even if you're putting something in, it's still growing to be more than if if you had put nothing in. So focus on what you can do and not so much of what you can't do. I hope you found this video helpful and gives you a better idea and grasp on Roth IRAs, and hopefully saves you a few more Google searches and this one condensed video. If you found this helpful, please share it with someone that you think would also find value in this. And till next time, I don't know what my next video will be about, but till next time, I'll see you then. Peace.